Shadow of the Beast game was released back in 1989 on the Commodore Amiga and Atari ST during the UK's golden age of home computing. It was a side-scrolling platformer, but stood out from the other games on sale because of its unique artistic style, its moody music and high production values. Psygnosis was later purchased by Sony, and now 27 years later, a remake has been made exclusively for the PlayStation 4 by developers Heavy Spectrum. Shadow of the Beast begins on the alien world of Karamoon that infuses a sci-fi setting with ancient civilizations and magic. You play as the beast, Arbron. Born human, as a baby you were kidnapped by the evil Maltoth and corrupted through dark magic to become a slave warrior. On the start screen, you see the beast from different angles as the camera moves schizophrenically around him, introducing you to his appearance and the setting of the game. His hands each had giant Wolverine-style claws. He is a beast that brawls. The game opens on the wild plains, a beautiful, otherworldly landscape with lush grass and red skies and a moon low in the horizon. As you move, you notice the parallax graphics, which were such a big draw in the original game. Instead of just having a character moving across a stationary background, parallax graphics have the foreground scrolling at a different, normally faster speed than the background, giving the illusion of depth. Whilst I never played the original, it did induce in me strong feelings of nostalgia for other games of the era that also used the technique. You use the left stick to traverse the environments left or right. Press X to jump, circle to grab, which is helpful when trying to scale down the side of a high cliff. Whilst exploring, you will be given the opportunity to pull levers, use teleportation terminals, and solve puzzles. Some levels could have been planned out better. The first level you walk forward for a bit, have to do something, then backtrack. Or they start off barren with you having nothing to do but walk, then a fight at the end to break the monotony. What's so good is that the different levels each have wildly different appearances, so there is little frisson of excitement at discovering a new location. Some in aliens' nests with waterfalls behind them, some in barren desert landscapes with nothing but the bones of a humongous creature in the background for company. Although the lack of texture does make some levels look too rendered and overly sterile, and being picky, there were a couple of instances where the textures came on to the characters or objects slightly late, like in this example with the baby, where the textures come on about half a second late. Here it is in slow motion. I mean, it happens so rarely, but I noticed it and found it jarring and don't expect to see it on a PS4 game. Taking its cue from the title, the design of the levels and characters are filled with shadows that perfectly capture the evocative mood of the game, and it's here where the artistic element compensates for any technical limitations. The desert level looks so beautiful, and there are an assortment of lovely visitors. Playing as Arbron, you soon discover you have a human past and explode with rage, craving revenge. Like the original, this is a platforming adventure, but now the fighting aspect has been expanded into a major gameplay component where the better you fight earns you mana experience points. When you get into a combat situation, a shimmering force field wall appears on the left and right side of the screen and stays there until you defeat all the enemies coming out of each side. You can attack, block, parry, counter and throw your opponents, which at first can be overwhelming knowing which control to use best. But with a bit of practice you can string together a steady flow of moves into combo attacks. The longer your chain and the longer you go unscathed, the higher mana multipliers you receive. When you fill up your blood meter, you have access to special moves, including the Rage Chain, which involves some QTE button mashing and perfect timing. Your health points are shown on the bottom left of the screen with blood points underneath, enemies remaining on the right. Combat is brutal. Deliver a killing move and the blood from your opponent will spray out and hit your TV screen. You use the right stick to roll, which is useful in evading attacks. Perhaps because of my over familiarity with first and third person games, I'm accustomed to it being used for look, so it felt cumbersome to me. Perhaps using the left stick and pressing a button might have felt more natural. On the whole, I found combat easy, You attack, you block, you throw and repeat. But that is a deliberate move to make it accessible to beginners. The objective is not to win, but to win good. When you finish, depending on the points you score, you will be awarded a medal and mana. The highest I achieved was silver. Combat earns you mana, which is effectively experience points that you can spend in the Wisdom of Shadows level up screen, which you can access by pressing triangle. You can spend it on combat upgrades, orbs, talismans, visions, forbidden tombs and history. Combat upgrades can boost your default health, your blood yield ability, special abilities and more. Orbs give you in-game boost. The Descent Orb protects you from a high fall, so you always survive. Visions give you 3D models of characters you come across, along with background info. Extra story is also told in the profile. This might have been delicious in 1989, but stories should be told in-game unless they are remnants from the design planning. And for me, I didn't feel inclined to read pages of text on my TV. History gives you access to digital memorabilia from the original game, including an emulated version for PS4 or the original soundtrack for use with this new PS4 edition. The alien races you come across are suitably varied and many take their cue from nature and the insect kingdom. Some, like the troglodytes, appear to be pestilence evolved. The Skryak spawn floating eyeballs appeared in the original game. And the Denian skimmers and Denian grazers are based on the artwork created by the original box artist Roger Dean. But there are also oversized beasts such as the giant Ifrit to be wary of. Something that I liked is that there is a level with some visually admirable teleport effects reminiscent of Stargate, combined with some puzzle solving. There's a Space Harrier-like fight, but my favourite moment has to be the big battle with the Dryad Queen that takes place on both the foreground and background landscape, and you both engage in a huge cat and mouse chase and brawl. What I did find really cool was that the game uses a camera technique that has become a visual signature of the God of War games, which I call the camera shift. This is when moving in game, the camera suddenly pulls out to fully show you a panoramic view of a location. In doing so, it helps set the scene and creates a sense of epicness, making you feel an important part of this adventure. Composed by Ian Livingstone, the violin-led main musical theme jumps from being mournful to frantic and suits the story of the game well. At times, the sound balance did seem to be off, with there apparently no SFX when the beast is moving. But I went into the sound settings to lower the music volume, which made it more audible. But I think there could have been more impact to the sound. Now, the game itself is not story heavy, but as you progress you can access timelines. These are short videos with a narrator, similar to Linda Hunt in God of War, filling in the backstory. Whilst any extra is a welcome extra, this would have been a device used in games from yesteryear, and I would have preferred the story to be integrated into the game. When it comes to telling of the in-game story, this is not Shakespeare, and there's not any words that are used. All you need to know is that you speak with violence, but your enemies do speak in their own alien tongue. Alien subtitles, not English, are provided. The graphics used to depict the language is very clever for visually resembling the alien's essence. To read the text and understand the development of the final parts of the game story, you need to use earn mana to buy expensive tombs that will translate the subtitles to English. If you haven't been very successful in earning mana, you will have to play through the game a second time, and this is a mighty assumption from the development team that you will want to actually play it a second time. Now, the game is very short. It took me approximately 4 hours to play through it. It's not possible to guess if the game was deliberately designed to be short and replayed, or, more likely, if the game was completed and deemed too short, so the studio decided to hide elements of it behind an in-game experience paywall. There is also an interesting social element to the gameplay. If you allow your game to be socially connected, then you will come across the bloodstains of friends and other players who have died in the location you are at. You are then given the choice of sending them a gift of an elixir which provides them extra life, or you can instead start a mini game where you must tear apart an avatar of them in as quick a time as possible. This is not a two-player match, but it does initiate a tit-for-tat combat, which can be fun for a while as you receive messages from other players goading you into revenge. You can also see how you rank on the global high score table. Shadow of the Beast's short 4-hour runtime does limit its value unless you are keen to replay it again a second time and earn all boosts and collectibles. It is a welcome visit back to its 1989 4-bit and updates it with a modern sheen, visceral combat and an evocative musical soundtrack. The combat can be overly fussy and the 2D gameplay does date it. If you judge it by modern standards, it will leave you feeling critical of it. But if you play it expecting nothing more than an updated version of the original, you will be satiated and for a little while happy. My 15-year-old self would have found this game beyond amazing. If you play this with a nostalgic look back at its Amiga ancestry, or are just looking for a bite-sized adventure, then I suspect you will get a lot more out of the experience. 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching. If there is anything about this review you liked or found interesting, please hit the thumbs up button. If you have any feedback, write something in the comment section below. Share the video with friends and see what they think, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to be the first to know when I have a new video out. Cheers!